Today we're going to take a look at ties on page 7. So far you have learned dotted notes when we want to extend the duration of a note length. So there's also the ties that does the same job, but we use it only when we want to travel across another bar. So take a look at this example here. This F is tied with a little curved line towards the next F in the next measure. So you have to play this note and hold it for another extra semibreve. So you will always find a tied note from the same note to the same note. And also make sure that you draw the tie from note head to note head. We don't want to draw it on the stems, so we always want to connect the note heads. Alright, so let's take a look at this example here. At the bottom they say if there's an accidental, let's say an F sharp, you also have to take the tied note as an F sharp. So you can see on the second crotchet in this example does not have a sharp, but that means this F sharp is being carried forward. So you're not going to remove your hand after you play this. So you're just going to drag this note to the first beat of the next measure. So you don't really have to do anything there. All you have to do is take a good count of the total value that it's been tied together. Like here it is a dotted minim plus a crochet. So now you know the dotted minim has 3 counts and the crochet has 1 count. So you add them both together and you will have to hold this note for 4 counts. So let's take a look at your exercises. Exercise number 1, add the total number of crochet beads in these tied notes. So you want to write down the number of beads and then add the total. Just remember the dotted minim will always have 3 counts, and because of the extra crochet that is inside the dot. Alright, so a dotted note, any dotted note, just let me remind you, the dot means the given note plus half the value of the given note. So you'll have half of a minim is a crochet. So you have to add 2 plus 1, you'll have 3 counts. Okay. So a dot is usually inserted inside a bar when we want to extend a note duration. The difference is with the tie, we use it when we want to travel across to another bar. So a tied note can be held across several bars, as you can see on the examples below. So this one is just 5 counts. So all you have to do is add the total count of crochet beads and you can write them in. Let's take a look at page 8. A 4 count note plus a 4 count note and then plus a 3 count note. The total is 11 crochet beads. Alright, so like that you can complete this exercise. And then on question number 2, the following tied notes are unnecessary. Write the music correctly. So as I just explained to you, we don't add ties inside a bar. We only use it when we want to travel to another bar, when we want to extend it to another bar. In this case, we don't need to add a tie here. The reason is this tied note is added for a crochet plus a square. So we want to make it sound exactly as it's written, but this is not the way to write it. So you want to add a dotted note instead of this tie, which does the same job. It means you're just holding it for 1.5 counts, and the dotted crochet will also tell you that it needs to be held for 1.5 counts. So let's remove all these ties and make them dotted crochets, or add a single note that adds up to the value of it. Write the time signature. So make sure you write the dot in the same space of the note. If it's on a line, write it on the next space above it. Here's my answer. It means I've removed this crotchet and the quiver that has been tied together, and I've added a dotted crotchet, and I've written out the remaining quiver here as a single quiver, and I've done the same for the next pattern, which is similar to that. Alright, let's move on to the next one. A minim and a crotchet tied together. So now we know this is a 3 count note, 2 plus 1. So we can just simply add a dotted minim and this last crotchet as it is. Let's try and do another one. So we have 2 minims here. You can add them up together. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So what is the 4 count note that we can add? It's the longest note, semibreve. So it doesn't always have to be a dotted note. All you have to do is add the total value of these notes and add a single note inside the bar. So I'm going to try and complete the rest. So let's move on to the third question on page 9. Look at the following music and add ties where possible. So look in places where you see the same kind of notes next to each other. So I want to look for places where there are bar lines. Here also there's a D to D. You can add ties there. There is no need to tie rests together. The silence just continues. Right, so when it comes to rests, we always want to keep things very simple and try to combine several beats together and just add one rest in places where we can. So if you find an empty bar, we always complete it with a semibreve rest. Whatever the time signature, we always like to complete it with a whole bar rest. Right, so let's take a look at the next question, number 4. Add the total number of crotchet beats of silence in these rests. So just like we did for the ties, we can write down the counts. So here's the semibreve plus a crotchet rest plus another crotchet rest, and the total value is 6 crotchet beats of silence. Okay, and the next one we have equals 9 crotchet beats. Then finally we have 12 crochet beads for the last one. So I'm done with this question. Once you have completed this, you can send in your answers for corrections. I'll see you next time.